Mississippi.
And now, it's Coast View with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota, Gulf Coast Business Supply, and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast View, and I hope you're having a great Monday and a good start to the week. We have a great show today. We have Adele Lyons from the Mississippi Gulf Coast Chamber in the first half of the show, and then we're going to be talking to my friend, Senator Jeremy England, in the second half of the show. With him, it's going to be rapid fire. I have one quick thing to share, and then we'll turn straight to Adele and talk about some exciting accomplishments of recently for the chamber. We'll tell you more about that here in just a second. But I don't know who this is attributed to, but it is really good advice. And here's what it says: don't wait for things to get better. Life will always be complicated. Learn to be happy right now. Otherwise, you'll run out of time. I thought that's pretty good. Learn to be happy right now. Otherwise, you're going to run out of time. We try to keep a positive, vibe here on Coast View. We'll talk about tough issues from time to time, but at the end of the day, we're mostly focused on the kind of conversations we have to have in order to make coastal Mississippi a better place to live, work, and play. And with that said, let me turn to my friend Adele Lyons, who's the executive director of the Mississippi Gulf Coast Chamber. Good friend of mine. I've known her for a very long time. Great friend of the family. Great leader in the community. And just first of all, just say good morning. How you doing, Adele?
I'm doing real good, Ricky. How about you?
I'm doing great. Like I said, man, great accomplishment this week. You finally had the annual meeting, and they came in torrential rain in droves, didn't they?
They did. We actually were a sold out event. We had to turn a few people away, which hate to do, but we want, safety with numbers. And we were happy to have nearly 500 people in the room. Big crowd, lots of energy, lots of bad weather, but folks made it in and stayed for the event and really seemed to enjoy the program and really enjoyed the networking. And just, I think everybody from the podium said it at one point, real live people. It was exciting to see our members live and in person.
I have to tell you, it was especially fun and special for me because for a lot of reasons. I retired from the Sun Herald in 2009, and then I left the Sun Herald in 2000. Then I retired in 2016. And so I haven't been to a chamber event in a while. I was kind of out of the flow for a while. I was actually retired for 4.5 years before we started Coast View. And for me, it was a chance to sort of reconnect. Although I have to tell you, and you know this, if we had over 500 conversations here on Coast View over the past year, and this show's been a great opportunity for me to reconnect. But I've met so many new people, and as I mentioned before the show started, I had 3 or 4 people walk up to me and say, "Hey, Ricky, how are you doing?" And we've gotten to know each other real well through this show, but I've actually never seen them in person before. Mm-hmm. To me, that was kind of an odd element to this. The other thing is, a past Spirit of the Coast winner, it was so good to see so many Spirit of the Coast winners there at one time. That was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's something we added a few years ago where we invite the past recipients to come forward and sort of welcome the new person into the club. I think it's really impressive to see that group standing up there, the ones who are able to be with us. Of course, we put a picture up on the screen of the names of the past recipients, and it's just a super impressive list of folks who've made such an impact on the Gulf Coast. And to have everybody there to sort of welcome the new person, even if they don't know each other, because there is some generational differences, maybe somebody who's getting the award this year may not know the person who got it 20 plus years ago. But I think, everybody's there for the same reason, because their love for the Gulf Coast and their passion to make the coast a better place, and they've left their mark.
Yeah, for me, gosh, great to see them all. I mean, just great to see them all, especially Roland, my predecessor and my mentor. Good to see him doing well. And he mentioned to me that he had just finished listening to my conversation with Farrell Allman of SF Allman, and which was a really good conversation. I enjoy I enjoy this show because it's really given me an opportunity to connect, but it's also given me an opportunity to really kind of focus on, the conversation I had with Kennedy Miaza, the conversation I had with Farrell Allman and others, to focus on small business and to remind people who's at the lifeblood of our economy. It's these small businesses. Who's been hit the hardest by COVID? It's the small businesses. Who are the ones who have stood the test of time? In most cases, it's the small businesses. And, the chamber's, there's a lot of big companies involved in the chamber, but boy, there's a lot of people involved in the chamber who are just small businesses wanting to learn best practices from one another. And the collection of those leaders at this meeting were really incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, I think case in point of that, our president in 2020 was Dorothy Wilson, who, of course, from the Sun Herald in her previous life. After she left the Sun Herald, she started a publication, Gulf Coast Woman, and she does Gulf Coast weddings, magazines, and she does a lot of digital marketing and with D. Wilson and Associates, but, a small company. I mean, and she's served as president, has been super involved. Where this year in 2021, the president of the board is Ron Barnes, who's with a large company with Coast Electric. So it's always a great mix to have on our board and in our leadership and as we sort of move forward. And then I also mentioned previous to Dorothy, the president of our board was Kathy Springer with United Way of South Mississippi. So also that nonprofit segment of our community that does great work, but they also in many ways operate as a small business, with a budget and how do they raise their money and pay their bills and personnel and et cetera. So always a great mix. And that's the great thing about the annual meeting. It's just a whole kind of conglomeration of those different businesses, and big, small, they're all together.
And when you bring them in that room, and this is normally the case. When you bring them in the room, the sense of camaraderie, the sense of mission, the sense of working together, the sense of improving the community, all those things are in play. But boy, in the wake of the pandemic, you can put everything I just said on steroids. It was just people glad to see each other. I mean, that was cool to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, people were coming in, and it is awkward. You don't know if you're supposed. Who can you hug? Who's okay with the hug? Who's okay with the fist pump, the handshake, the mask? I've had both of my vaccines, so I'm comfortable without my mask. Happy to tell people that, let them figure out what works for them. But we certainly try to have masks when people are in the lobby, have people around. But I mean, it was just, you just feel it. You felt it immediately. Just the energy of people, and the people who were some people couldn't wipe a smile off their face, could not wipe a smile off their face for just being there in presence with other folks that they know.
I was one of those. I had the pleasure of sitting with Mayor Fofo Gillich, and he was so impressed with it. And of course, for him, it was an opportunity also to see so many people that he hadn't seen in a while. It was really special. And by the way, on your point about people, it was a little awkward, about the fist pump versus the handshake, the mask, no mask, etc. Dr. Nicholas Conger is on my show tomorrow, and we have was on the show Friday, and he gave some really good advice. He essentially said this, that if you've had the shot, you're not going to spread it, and you're not going to get it. So don't worry. If you haven't had the shot, it's sort of up to you to decide whether you want to wear a mask or whether you want to shake hands. But if you've gotten your shot, you're fully vaccinated, then he said, don't worry about it. When you're in groups, and just enjoy it. It's time for life to sort of get back to normal. And if someone has chosen not to get the vaccine, although he urges people to get the vaccine, we have a great conversation about that aspect of it. But, you kind of made your choice, and it's time to move on. The good news is the numbers on those who are in the vulnerable class, the numbers are really good, and we've made tremendous progress. But again, you just get a sense that the world is moving forward, that we're coming out of the pandemic. People are very eager to move forward, and you got a sense of it at the meeting. Hey, one other thing about the annual meeting before we go too far. Actually, two things. The first thing is, I would have made a bigger deal out of what you guys did to bridge the gap for chamber members and non-chamber members. I just thought that was such an amazingly noble mission that you guys were on. I would have made a huge deal out of that. You guys are a little too humble. The other thing that I was touched by was when you read and you let us know who the most recent inductee is for the Spirit of the Coast Award. I watched you, and you were literally touched to be able to do that awarding. I could tell that you felt deep in your soul that you believed she deserved it. And before we say any more, we're at the end of this session. I don't want to cut this short. When we come back, I'm gonna ask Adele to talk about why she was so touched by this year's inductee to the Spirit of the Coast Award at the Coast Chamber. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation.
Coast View on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's J. Allen at J. Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the J. Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the J. Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visit.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. We have Adele Lyons with us today. She's the executive director for the Mississippi Gulf Coast Chamber of Commerce. And before we get to the Spirit of the Coast Award, I just want to read this one last time. Don't wait for things to get better. Life will always be complicated. Learn to be happy right now. Otherwise, you'll run out of time. I think that's great. But you know what? It really kind of applies to that annual meeting in a lot of ways, because over the year now, we have seen complexity. We understand what complexity looks like. And people have had an opportunity to reflect about what in life is important. Their family, their friends, their business associates, the kind of camaraderie that you gain from being involved in the chamber. But there was a lot of happiness in that room for sure, wasn't there?
You know, there was, and Ron Barnes, our president, during his comments said that, you realize what you sort of took for granted, going to a chamber meeting at some point maybe had become a little bit of a chore for folks, or you're thinking, I want to go to this, but I got 10 other things I need to do. I'm going to stay at my office. And then when you couldn't go and we were all just on Zoom, you realized how much that meant to you and how important it was for you to make those connections, both professionally and personally, with people that you either do business with or their neighbors, you go to church, other ways you might know each other through the chamber. And it's just a great way to reconnect. And we're just super excited to be having events again, starting to have live events. We're still kind of doing a few things via Zoom, just because it has some level of convenience, certainly. But folks want to be together, and we're excited to be able to have venues to do that.
Well, technology, we've talked about this from every angle you could possibly talk about it. We've learned things about technology and how it connects us, and you pointed out the convenience is incredible. So it will always be part of what we do going forward. It's an easy way to have meetings, keep people from having to drive long distances, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, it's really hard to find a real substitute for in-person meeting. But okay, so let's come back to the Spirit of the Coast Award. Let's remind people who may not know what that is. What is the Spirit of the Coast Award, and why are you and I so focused on it? And then tell us about this year's winner.
Yeah, the award was established by the chamber to recognize a business person who had, gone above and beyond, who had really done their part in the community. And it was renamed the Pat Santucci Spirit of the Coast Award, as Ms. Santucci was the third recipient. She was with Ben Bell South, and she passed away a few years after. And so the award was named for her. And so it's given every year at the annual meeting. It's something that's kept very closely to our chest, and it's always a surprise for the person. We sneak their family members in the back of the room. The selection process is some of the past chamber presidents and some of the past Santucci recipients that submit names, and then a decision is made. And this year's recipient was Angie Juzang, who is currently with Memorial Hospital. Angie's been past president of the Biloxi Chamber, of the Coast Chamber, Leadership Gulf Coast, so super involved with the chamber, but really so many other events and activities. Angie has recently, the past few years, started a group called the Legacy Business League, which is focused on minority businesses and just their professional development, which we partner a lot with them at the chamber and do a lot of events and activities together. But I've known Angie for years and worked with her on various projects. And so as I'm reading, I know I've been knowing since December who the recipient is, so it's not like it's a shock for me. And I've read over the script. I prepare for the event and I read over the script. And but every time as I get closer and closer to saying that person's name, it just becomes more real of the emotion, the relationship that I have with them, that I know they have with the community, of what they've done in the community. And I always find that my voice gets a little cracked as I say their name. And, I'm trying to hold it together, trying to be a professional. But at some point, and I'm always really kind of glad once I say their name, that there's that point that I get to stop while everybody's applauding and they're coming forward, so I can kind of get myself back together. But it's super exciting. And especially, at this event, Angie said, really, it's all about my mother and what she taught me, and she's not here. And I said, yeah, she's right over there. And they were walking up, and that always kind of blows people's mind, when their family's there, they don't realize it. But it's just a way for the chamber to really recognize who are the people that, set the stage for us to try to be a better organization and have an impact in the community.
Well, you could tell.
And let me say this, I'm going to interrupt you because you kind of alluded to it, but you haven't really said it. But Ricky himself is a past recipient of the Pat Santucci Spirit of the Coast Award. And, I can remember you having your award in your office there at the Sun Herald. And I'm sure it's somewhere in your office today, or I don't know if it made it through Katrina or not. But, you might talk, maybe turn the table real quick, talk about when you received the award, kind of what was the feeling there? How did that transpire?
Well, I was, first of all, surprised. I mean, like you said, I literally had no idea. But, it was in the wake of Katrina, actually, that I got the award. And it was to me, it was a recognition for the work that the entire team at the Sun Herald did. And I had the pleasure of being a vice chairman of the recovery effort and had the first meeting at the Sun Herald that started the Governor's Commission on Recovery, Rebuilding, and Renewal. I chaired the tourism recovery planning efforts. And, when I got so deeply engaged in the recovery effort, it meant that a lot of responsibility was going to fall on a lot of people back at the newspaper. So it was an award we all got together, but it was special. It was really special because it reminds you why you're involved. You really want to make a difference, and it means a lot when people notice that you're working hard to make a difference. And look, when you gave Angie the award, look around the room. The support for her was literally overwhelming, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, people just jump up out their seats and then just, of course, the comments after on Facebook and the amount of time that she stood in the front of the room and people just were coming to her and congratulating her and her family. That's always really kind of fun to watch afterwards, just the sort of the love and recognition that they're getting. And I will mention one other thing real quickly. We bring the past recipients that are in the room that come to the event. We ask them to come forward and sort of stand up in front of the head table. And when that person's announced, recipient, they come forward and they're welcomed into the club per se. And it's a pretty exclusive club. It's maybe 25, 30. I'd have to go back and count how many recipients. And we have a fair number of them that are able to come every year. And it's kind of cool, and it's neat for them, and it's neat just to look across and say, gosh, look at these people and what they've done in the community.
Also, I had the opportunity to work with Pat Santucci in the community and just thought the world of her. She was a very, very special kind of leader. And when she got breast cancer, she fought it with a vengeance. Unfortunately, she lost her battle, but she left a legacy for coastal Mississippi about giving to the community and leading to the community and wanting the best for the community. Pat Santucci was a really special person. Hey, listen, Adele, in the short time we have left, let's talk about the post-legislative briefing that's coming up here soon.
Yeah, every year we hold two events. We do a pre-legislative briefing in December to talk about what's coming up in the session. And so we ask members of our Coast delegation to participate, and our members send in questions. And, it's always kind of I don't want to say the same questions, but the same topics. What's going on with the budget, with education, with infrastructure? So we have our post-legislative briefing coming up on Wednesday, May the 19th at the Golden Nugget. We start at 8 o'clock. If you're interested in registering, call the chamber. And get registered. We have 4 members of the Coast delegation, including Senator Jeremy England, who is now going to be on with you in just a second here. But they just ask questions. Brad Kessie's the moderator, does a great job. We'll be talking about the tax issue, the state income tax issue, and what happened there, teacher pay raises. It's kind of like what happened and how and why, and what didn't happen and how and why. And just their feel for the session and the outcome, and then how it affects us as citizens. And it's always just a great rapport, and we look forward to that. So we hope some folks will join us.
Really important event, a very dynamic session. We'll be talking a little bit more about that in the next segment, by the way. You've actually partnered with Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply Company, actually one of the sponsors, one of the title sponsors of Coastview, I might add, and John Ray, to do a chamber after hours event. Tell me about that.
Well, that's our first one, and John is super excited about it. It's a ribbon cutting for him for his new showroom that he's opened and done renovations. So, where other people, he kind of took some time during COVID to let's gussy up the place, and he wants to show that off. But it's our first after 5 that we, haven't had in well over a year. And those are just really networking events in the evening where folks are meeting and mingling, and John's got Calvin Coleman doing the food, and it'll be a spread, and it'll be fun. And so we invite people to come out to that. The ribbon cutting's at 4. The after 5 will start after that, 5 o'clock. So those are just some of the things that the Chamber does to, spotlight our businesses and give people a reason to connect.
Big fundraiser as part of the St. Jude's Children's Hospital. A couple other things coming up in the final minute. Give us a kind of a rapid fire.
Well, another, it's a fundraiser as well, but we're also recognizing our police and fire, and we're doing our drive-through shrimp and fish fry on Friday, May the 21st from 11 to 2 down at Lighthouse Park, which is next to the Biloxi Visitor Center. And that's really, last year when we couldn't do the Seafood Fest, we had this fish fry and shrimp fry. It was hugely successful, but we also want to acknowledge and thank our police and fire for the work they continue to do, so people can sponsor a plate that we'll deliver to the various firehouses and stations, so they can give us a call about that. And then the last thing I'll mention real quick is on Tuesday, May the 25th, we're going to be hearing from Stacy Pickering, the Executive Director of the Mississippi Veterans Affairs. And we've got a new Veterans Affair, a veterans home being built up in the Tradition area, so he's going to talk about that. And that's at the Great Southern Club, so give us a call and we'll get you registered for all those.
Adele Lyons, Executive Director of Mississippi Gulf Coast Chamber, thank you so much. What a special visit this was. Congratulations on all your successes over the past year. And when we come back, we're going to have a terrific conversation with my friend, Senator Jeremy England.
Listen live or on demand and watch episodes of Coast View on your laptop, desktop, or on your phone or tablet by going to supertalkmsgulfcoast.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, casinoradio1063.com.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Feeling down?
Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter, has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard, and,
wow.
All this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And now, it's Coast View with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota, Gulf Coast Business Supply, and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast View. I really enjoyed that conversation with Adele Lyons at the Coast Chamber. It's amazing what they've done. The annual meeting was such a culmination of so much hard work. Great to see everybody there smiling and doing their thing. If you missed that, you can go take a look at that at the SuperTalk Gulf Coast Facebook page. During the course of Coast View, one of the beauties of this position is I get a chance to talk to a lot of people who are in the know, legislators and leaders in the state, business leaders, just a wide range of people. And one of my favorite is Senator Jeremy England. We've had several conversations on Coast View. We just stay in touch. He's from District 51. And so what we're going to do now, we're literally going to just have a rapid fire. So before we go any further, let's just say good morning to Senator England.
Hey, good morning, Ricky. And look, I have my coffee, so I'm ready for some rapid fire this morning.
Okay. We're going to rock and roll. First of all, you and I talked about this off the air for a minute, but District 51, man, if you look at how over the years these lines that decide what the districts are, they are just so strange. And I know there are lots of historic reasons for that, but how do you describe your area?
Yeah, Ricky, and look, so unfortunately, it'd be easier to draw lines if people lived in a straight line, right? But they don't. They spread out, and so District 51 is a great district. It's primarily the northern part of Jackson County. So I think of I-10 north, but I do dip down into Ocean Springs a little bit, and North Ocean Springs, North Pascagoula, and North Goche. I've got all of the city of Moss Point. I've got the communities of East Central and Wade and Van Cleve, and some of St. Martin. And as you mentioned, when we were talking off air, I've got one little small, I guess a panhandle, you would call it, that drops down to Petty Boy Island. And I sure wish we had people living down there so I could go campaign on Petty Boy. But
I love Petty Boy.
Oh, that's right. It's one of my favorite places. We used to camp there when I was younger. But, I think, those are state waters, so we've got to have representation there. But it's a great district. I'm proud to represent those folks. But primarily north all the way to George County, and then east all the way over to Alabama. It's a big district with the Pascagoula River basin right there in the middle.
What I like about you're Republican, you're conservative, but what I like about you, Jeremy, is that first of all you do your homework, and secondly, you don't always just toe the line. You have an independent voice. I like the way that you're careful about how you choose to use your voice. In other words, you don't just scream all the time, because if you did, actually, it would affect your ability to be a leader in the Senate. You have to be, there's sort of a decorum that you have to represent there. But when you feel very, very passionate about something, you jump on it. And I really admire that about you. So let's move on. So Coastal Mississippi Tourism Effort. I had the opportunity to visit with Mark Henderson here on Coast View. He owns Lazy Magnolia, has a bunch of patents. He's in the sophisticated radar technology. He's a really smart guy. He's the president-elect of the Coastal Mississippi Tourism Effort. And he came and joined me on Coast View, and one of the things he mentioned, I had a great visit, incidentally, but one of the things he mentioned is that they had made some bylaws changes that would really impact regionalism negatively. And he was deeply concerned about it. And as a result of his comments, got the attention of a lot of leaders across coastal Mississippi. And what I have heard, and most of the people that I talk to are deeply concerned about it as well, especially casino operators. One of the things that I like to remind people of is after Katrina, one of the major recommendations that came out of the effort that I had the opportunity to lead for the Governor's Commission was that we move our tourism efforts to a regional tourism effort and promote coastal Mississippi as an entity. So that would be Jackson, Harrison, and Hancock County working together. Eventually, we got that done thanks to the leadership of people like John Harrison from Hancock Whitney and the legislature. But we got that done. And the beauty, if you look at now in the pandemic, the numbers are literally undeniable. We have been unbelievably successful because we've been very strategically focused on it. What are the competitive advantages for coastal Mississippi, and how do we move forward? And I think that it's a little unfortunate that certain members of the commission have wanted to tinker with success in this moment and create a lot of noise during especially this challenging moment. So I think it's really important for us to get back to reminding people why this is so important, and that anything that we do that would affect or even threaten regionalism in any way is going to cause leaders from across coastal Mississippi to rally and say, we can't do that. But you actually went to the last meeting. You got interested in this subject. You got concerned about what you were hearing. The last Coastal Mississippi Tourism Board meeting was actually in Jackson County. So you attended that. What did you observe?
Right, that's right, Ricky. I think it was April 29th. It was over at the Grand Magnolia, and I think it may have been Mark's first meeting that he was presiding over, and he did a great job. But one thing that really surprised me, and it was what I'd been hearing and kind of hit me out of the blue, because again, look, we want to be one coast. We want to be, the coastal Mississippi, the secret coast. That's all three counties across Mississippi. But it seems like there was an effort maybe to centralize leadership or centralize decision making into one particular area, and of course that concerns everybody on the board that has the one coast mindset. We've got Hancock, Harrison, and Jackson County, and so that was very concerning to me. We had leaders from Jackson County, we had our county administrator, we had supervisors, and all of us have become very concerned with how that centralization seems to be happening now. It just doesn't bode well for the coastal Mississippi outlook, and what I think we can do as a coast if we get back to more of a regionalized attitude. So I'll just say that kind of floating over the table at that meeting, it's very concerning, and I hope that we can quickly move beyond that from that board. And I hope it happens within the board.
Yeah, they considered a resolution to rescind the bylaw decision they made. And the group, mostly, I guess, from Harrison County, voted not to rescind those changes. So it sent a message to all those leaders from Jackson County that, in spite of what was a terrific debate about why regionalism was important, it sent a message that we don't hear that message, and we want power to be in one county. We're going to talk more about that in the future. I know you have a lot of thoughts about it. I know you're doing your homework on it. I'm continuing to talk to people. I'll probably do a series of shows about it in due time, but that's enough for now. Anything else you want to add, by the way?
Yeah, look, I'll just say, you look at what Louisiana just did with the money they're pumping into their tourism industry, and tourism money now is coming from the state level. And one thing that got that rolling was this coastal Mississippi attitude. So the localized money that's there, whereas that it was important before, it seems to be, there's a lot of money being invested statewide into our coast and into our other tourism areas. And so we've got to keep that in mind when these boards start making decisions.
I totally agree with you. I think sometimes you can get so insular in your thinking, you forget that you represent an industry that are, and the industry, when they get surprised by changes that are happening that they weren't aware of, they get really concerned about that. And our regional effort around tourism is the key to success. We already know that. Look at what's happened during the pandemic. Hey, look, real quickly, the state's collections are doing unbelievably. We're up like 16.5%, which is we've collected about $5.35 billion. It's exciting to see it come back. We have to have a little reservation still, though, don't we?
Ricky, yeah, and look, that's very important to consider right now, because we've got so much money that's been inserted into the system right now. We really don't know what we're dealing with. This is all brand new. So when we talk about things in the legislature, like cutting the state income tax or doing anything tax related right now that would have an effect on our revenue, we just have to be very, very careful with how we do that. We also, down here on the coast, we know after Katrina, when you have one-time money that comes in, you have to be careful how you spend that, because you could end up costing yourself more money in the long run than not. And then do you raise taxes, which of course we don't want to do. Where do you curve things? So we've got to be really careful with that. But yeah, we're in good shape now. Look, Governor Tate Reeves did a great job with keeping Mississippi open as long as we could, and getting people back to work. And we're doing that right now with the, with waiving the federal funds that are coming in for unemployment. So we're doing good things, but we just don't know what we have right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of conversations about transition. How much is the economy transitioning out of the pandemic? How much of this is related to the $5 trillion relief packages passed by Congress, and to what extent is that sort of creating sort of a false sense of security here? We have to let all those things kind of work their way out. Let's pray that it's not real inflation that's going to require some kind of inflationary action by the Federal Reserve, and that these are just sort of natural aspects to a thriving economy when you face a pandemic and you've got issues with supply chains and all that eventually this transition is going to work itself out and we'll come out on the other side and be really good. We also have $1.9 billion that's coming to the state. We'll talk about that next when we come back from break.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever, with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Whether you're brand new to the DIY craze or a seasoned veteran, the Handyman Show has something for you. Buddy Slowick shares tips and tricks on everything from odd jobs to complete build-outs, from small home repairs to serious construction. So no matter if you're at the master carpenter level or not quite sure how to use a level, the Handyman Show answers your questions with a healthy dose of humor and some great music too. Saturdays, 10 to noon on SuperTalk Mississippi and on SuperTalk TV.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Adele Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera flips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. I have Senator Jeremy England with us from District 51, good friend of Coast View, smart guy, thinks a lot about these kind of issues. We're not going to get done all the things we want to talk about, so I'll have to get him back in the next week or two, and we'll continue the conversation. But $1.9 billion, that's additional money coming to Mississippi that came from the most recent relief package. What in the world are we going to do with that money?
Yeah, look, the lieutenant governor puts it well, I think, when he says that we've got to be careful not to pick and choose just individual projects. We've got to look at the big picture of what we can do for Mississippi on that. And I listened to your show just recently with Joe Max and Ashley Edwards there, and they talked about broadband. And, broadband is going to be one thing we're going to be able to use for this money to get people connected to the internet, which is very, very important in today's world. I mean, look at with the pandemic, look at the telemedicine issue that came up and things like that. I mean, it was so eye-opening as to how we need connectivity here in Mississippi, but also I'm excited that a lot of this is going to be geared towards underground infrastructure, which is collapsing all over Mississippi, and there's communities that just don't have the ability to repair that. And look, once we repair those, if we repair those with one-time money, we're good for 50 to 75, maybe even 100 years out. So, that's something that I hope we can do with this $1.9 billion.
Infrastructure improvements would be really, really important, and it would help us in the future in terms of budgets all across Mississippi. And what Ashley and Joe Max said about broadband and connecting Mississippi is the single most transformative thing we can do by far. There's nothing else that even comes close to having the kind of impact that that's going to have for our state. Anything we can do to continue to supercharge that. That's actually a great example, though, of how leadership in the state sort of aligned around a goal and said, "Hey, man, we're going to do this." It's impressive how quickly we moved on that, isn't it?
Oh, that's right. Look, Senator Joe Carter kind of spearheaded that from our end of the hall and really did fantastic job with that, with getting with the co-ops and with all the people. So, he deserves a lot of the credit for that. And look, and then, when you've got broadband, I don't mean to switch topics on you, but with this pipeline issue, you've got cybersecurity issue that we're keeping up with. You've got Senator Scott Delano on top of that with cybersecurity issues. And I talked with Dr. Mark Keenum from Mississippi State recently. The Mississippi is just, we're like a prime location to do supercomputing, and we're going to be at the front end of that. And man, that's really going to be exciting to watch all of that kind of develop over the next 10 years. And this $1.9 billion, if we can use that to put infrastructure in place to have us ready to maybe lead the country or be among the top states in the country to lead in new internet and web technology. Oh man, we're just going to be in a whole new world here.
It's a really, really big deal. Let's shift gears. The state income tax elimination passed the House. Thankfully, it didn't get through the Senate. I think the lieutenant governor did a good job of leading on that issue. The reality was, and I wrote about this, and look, I don't think it's a good thing that the big three, the lieutenant governor, the Speaker of the House, and the governor were not in lockstep together about what we should do as it relates to this, because they couldn't agree on data. And so I was critical on that point. But the fact is, it's a tax swap for the most part. You heard Joe Max talk about one of his industries up in the Golden Triangle. It would cost them $20 million a year. Dude, we can't fiddle around with this. And here's the reality. We talked about this, too many think tanks in this are influencing public policy in a way that they don't seem to care about the ramifications. But the ramifications are severe, aren't they?
They are. And look, since you mentioned it, one of the industries that I have here in my county was looking at $5 to $6 million a year under this new tax system. And those are job killing numbers. And, when I would talk about that, people would want to throw out the old line that, they don't pay their fair share anyways. But at the end of the day, it's still $5 to $6 million that they're not going to have to expand or to make new developments or to make new hires. And that's not good for anybody. And before we move on, I do want to say that I appreciate Governor Tate Reeves and I appreciate Speaker Gunn getting the conversation going. But the way that once we got to looking at the bill, it just wasn't a good way to do things. It was going to kill a lot of industries. It was going to drive consumers out of Mississippi. It was going to keep people from coming into Mississippi to do things. It was going to hurt our manufacturing industry tremendously. And we can't do that. So I really supported Senator Josh Harkins and a few others in the Senate that wanted to do a study committee. We don't want to just have this be a flash in the pan, where we talk about an opportunity to maybe reduce income tax. We want to still look at it, but it's a 2 to 3 year process in my mind, at least, to figure out how we can do this that's most beneficial for all Mississippians. I
can't agree more. I think the study committee is the way to go, and I was surprised they hadn't already done that. I hadn't already agreed on it. Had a plan for where we go forward. Because look, a state not having a state sales tax make us competitive from an industrial development point of view. It makes us competitive from a retiree point of view. But boy, if you don't get this right, man, it's hard to do in a normal situation. But you come in, coming out of the pandemic, you already made that point. Unbelievably difficult, not the time to do it. We need to get our ducks in a row. We need to get our leaders aligned around the data, for goodness sake. If you can't agree on the data, you certainly can't agree on where you go from here. Hey, man, there's a lot for us to talk about still. But we're going to have you back next week or so, and we're going to continue the conversation because there's some really big issues out there, like job development and other things, workforce development, to talk about the BP money and how it's going to help Moss Point and other communities. And we need to stay focused on transformative projects. I could go on and on, but you have a lot of thoughts about those things. We'll get you rescheduled and we'll continue the conversation.
Yeah, Ricky, look, I appreciate it. And look, Ryan Miller, the new guy we've got doing workforce development, is great. And I can't say enough about what we've got on the horizon for Moss Point and the eastern side of Jackson County. Man, it's really exciting. But I always love coming on and talking with you.
We'll see you in a week or so, my friend. Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you, Ricky.
This has been Senator Jeremy England from District 51, and hope you have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.